Hey everyone, I'm Mitchell. Welcome back. In the history of this pod, I love to have people on that make me laugh and bring joy into my doom scrolls when I'm sitting in bed, when I should be sleeping, when I have a super early workout the next day, but no, I'm in my bed giggling. The last few months, this week's guest has literally had me cackling with his videos, and I hope that by the end of this, we can all agree that he is literally an icon. Colman Feighan, welcome to Let's Unpack That. I'm so excited to have you here. How are you doing?
Mitchell, thank you so much. Maybe you just bypassed HR by allowing me on here today, but I hope I don't give you any additional problems and we all just get giggles and that's about it. But no, I'm doing well. No complaints at all. Happy Thursday. How's your week going?
So good. We're so close to the weekend, which is so important. And I'm so happy to be spending my Thursday night giggling with you. I like that's the best possible Friday pregame.
Well, my ego appreciates you, so thank you.
One thing that you say in your content a lot is, can we all agree? You have a series where you'll say, can we all agree? And then you'll go on and say some sort of hot take or something that you are feeling in that moment. And I love it. And on this podcast, I love to start our episodes off with my hyperfixations, things that I'm obsessed with. There's so much going on in culture and stuff that there's a new thing every week that I have. And this is the safe space to share that. I think this time around it'd be fun to use your Can We All Agree format for our hyperfixations.
Love it. Thank you. Listen, it's not trademarked yet, so I won't charge you. Go for it.
So kind. So charitable. So kind. Okay, I'll go first and then you can go.
Perfect.
Can we all agree that Hacks is the best show perhaps ever made? We are in the desert of good comedies. Sure, there are a lot of good comedies from the past, Modern Family, The Office, Parks and Rec, great ones. You'll be giggling all night. But, we need something new, something fresh, something that's in with the times. And we have some people, some shows that are laying the groundwork, like Abbott Elementary, beautiful, amazing. But Hacks, she is blazing a path.
Clearly, this is not scripted because I have no idea what Hacks is. And I feel like if it was scripted, anybody listening, I would have been prefaced what Hacks is. No idea.
I'll tell you. I'm going to tell you. Okay, I'm getting there. I'm building it up.
Sorry.
Yes, okay.
I'm just sitting here what the hell's Hacks?
Okay, so they've been winning all the awards. If you watch any award show the past several years, all the best comedy show, best actress in a comedy has been going to this show. And it is so deserved. They're about to enter their 4th season. But for those who maybe are not already on the Hacks train like you, Coleman, it's not too late to jump on. It's not leaving the station just yet. So Hacks follows this older comedian. She's maybe in her 60s. Her name's Deborah Vance. And she's had a really successful comedy career. She almost was the first woman to ever host a late night show that ended up falling through. And she's been doing a Las Vegas residency for years and decades. And it's getting to a point where her comedy is kind of not hitting the mark. She's still popular, but her career is kind of drying up. And she's just at that place where she's kind of stubborn and doesn't want to do something different or change. And so she's in that spot, and the other main character in the show is named Ava, and she's Gen Z. She's a writer on a TV show, and she was just fired from her job, had this whole controversy, and so she is desperate for a gig, and so her agent gets her set up with one of their other clients, Deborah, and Ava goes to Vegas to meet her, and they butt heads a little bit. And over time, they start to just really get along so well and support each other to the point where, Deborah is able to have, an amazing career because she has, this Gen Z person, helping her, but they're also, growing and thriving together. Of course, they're not always the best of friends. They're a little bit of, frenemies, you could say. So there's a lot of, great comedic timing between the two. Their back and forth and, their banter and the jokes are, the drags, the way that they read each other to filth is just incredible.
I love that it's female-based because I honestly, truly feel even with Nikki Glaser she just was announced to redo next year. I think that the female comedians have been so overlooked for so long. Yeah. And honestly, I find more women funny than most men. I'm like,
Yes.
these women out here
Yes.
are crushing it when it comes to comedy, and I'm glad that this is a like women leading that cast of that show. What is it on?
On Max. So good.
Okay.
Well, Coleman, what is your hyperfixation?
Can we all agree that the best way to eat dessert is when it's in bite-sized form? So my current hyperfixation, if you follow me on TikTok, I've reposted almost every single one of their videos, is Just Chippies. It's a new business. It's a new cookie business that is just launched, Just Chippies. And the cookies, they sent me a PR box rollout last week before they started
Are
posting
they
online.
frozen?
No, they are fresh. They are made from scratch. It's a very small business right now. It's like the infancy stages of the business. Everything is made at home. The cookies they come in regular sized cookies, but she's doing bite-sized cookies too. When I'm obsessed, I'm obsessed. So I've been eating those cookies nonstop. And like, I turn the notifications on for the social page because I'm just like, every time they post is adorable. That and the other thing is Gabby from Traitors is my other obsession. Those are like cookies and Gabby are my two obsessions right now.
Yes.
Because I don't watch much TV. Most of my time is spent scrolling on TikTok. Like I'll watch The Housewives, but the clips of Kathy Hilton on TikTok, the clips of Sutton on, like the clips of these people on TikTok, I don't actually sit down and watch a full episode. But when it comes to Traitors, I don't know what got me onto it because this was the first season I watched, but I was obsessed with that show. So now I'm like down Gabby's whole long-winded, the podcast poll, and like watching every interview she's ever done and just like the lore behind her. She was a cheerleader. She was on Bachelor. Like, I love her.
Second place on
I'm
Dancing with the
obsessed.
Stars. Like, she's literally done it all.
Crazy. My two obsessions of the moment. Eating the cookies while watching Gabby.
Yes, what a combo. I was just listening to Gabby's podcast today with Carolyn that she put out.
I haven't listened to it yet.
Oh my gosh. Granted, this is the first like full episode of Long Winded that I've listened to, but I like pressed play and I literally felt like I was walking into like a brunch conversation mid-meal. Like
that is okay.
Like there was no like hi welcome to the show. Like it was just like we're chatting and spilling tea and like dragging people, and I was like, I love this. Like,
Yes,
best podcast to ever exist.
So glad Gabby won, and if a traitor won, I wanted it to be Carolyn. Carolyn was my hands down favorite traitor, and I loved Gabby. So I'm glad that one of the two of them won. They're so similar but so different.
And if you love Traitors, Coleman, you really have got to watch season 2 that came out last year. It won the Emmy for Best Reality Show.
Did it?
Yes. And it is arguably like 20 times better than this season.
Okay, that's great. Because I've been craving. I'm like, well, now I have to wait a whole time because we know there'll be a season 4 based off of how well this year did.
Yes.
So now I'm like, well, I have to wait so much longer. So I guess I'll go back to 2 for the time being.
Phaedra Parks is on it, and she is just amazing. She's a traitor, and it's just incredible television.
I have to say, because I told you, these were my sister's headphones that I put on because I've watched your podcast. Jake had these on last week. I was like, I feel like this is the vibe. You have them on. This is the vibe for the podcast. These are not my headphones. They are so heavy. I feel like I have a 10-pound weight on my head right now. I'm like, is this what the queen feels like to keep? I'm like, my head wants to. These things are so. I've had them on for 10 minutes. I'm like, shit.
Do you need to adjust them? Like, is the length?
No.
good?
Do you not think they're heavy?
No.
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 I'm like, I can hear perfectly. The audio is great. I just feel like they're an extra 10 pounds on my head.
Wow. Well, you're getting a little bit of a neck workout, I guess.
Yeah, there we go. Carry on.
I'd love to pivot now into your story as we do with people when they're on the pod for the first time. So, simple question. Who is Colman Feighan?
Oh, that's such a simple question, but such a loaded question. Wow, Mitchell. I think I'll describe myself in how I think anybody close to me would describe me. You couldn't put me in a box. I think it would be very difficult to put Colman Feighan in a box. I feel as if I have already lived many lives, which I'm very grateful for, from New York to then high school to college to moving out to LA, and then just the life I've lived in LA. There have been many career changes. There have been many sexuality changes. There have been many relationship changes. But I think at the end of the day, I always come back to, the can we all agree is like my theme on TikTok, but across all of my social platforms, there's always a hashtag, whether you've noticed it or not, on every post I ever make is be the light. And I think that at the end of the day sums it up, because I'm a little chaotic. I'm a little crazy. I'm a little, what the fuck did he just say? But at the end of the day, I think no matter the fact that I can't go in a box, wherever I'm floating in space, I do try and lead with love and go that route. So I'm far from perfect. I'm not one of those people that's going to go online and pretend to be perfect, because it would take 2 seconds to crash that. But no, I think I love a lot. I think whether it's romantic or friendships, like personal or professional, I put my all into whatever I'm doing at that moment until I go to the next thing. And I think that's the summary of me. You can't put me in a box, but wherever I'm floating at 100 miles an hour to try and make it a little bit better for myself, but for everybody around me at the same time.
You seem to live so authentically, which is really cool to see.
Thank you. I mean, it hasn't been easy. It's definitely taken time. I think it's part of growing up and life. I mean, it's not about being perfect. It's about making progress, as corny as that might sound. I think that ultimately at the end of the day, that is the truth. And every day that goes by, I think I've lived a little bit more authentically than the day before. The sister I live with, so I have 3 siblings. I live with one of them in LA, and then 2 of them live in New York. And the sister I live with in LA is younger than me, but she said to me a long, long time ago, I don't know where she pulled it from, but like one of those deep conversations where it was like, did that just happen? She was like, Coleman, every day I wake up and ask myself, am I a better version than the person I was yesterday? And that's really all I can be at the end of the day. And so I think that that's my goal, just to be a little bit more authentic and genuine and a little bit better than the version of Colman Feighan from yesterday today. And so I've always kept that in mind with me as I continue to move through this world. Is there won't be crazy changes overnight. Nothing ever happens overnight. But if you can just be a little bit better than the person you were yesterday, I consider that a win.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's go back to the beginning. Where did you grow up, and what was life like for you then?
I grew up in New York, not the city. I think New York City is disgusting. It's my least favorite city in America. But I grew up north of the city, in a smaller town, like about an hour up the Hudson River. It was great for growing up. I'm very glad I grew up where I grew up. It was a very nice area. And my family and I have always been super close. So I have 4 siblings, like I just mentioned. We're all just a year apart from one another. So built-in best friends there.
Where do you stand in that 4?
I'm second.
Okay.
I have an older brother and then 2 younger sisters. So it was 2 boys and 2 girls. My mom was cranking them out. And then she had 4 kids under the age of 4 all at once.
That's crazy.
A very athletic family. Sports were huge. I think I was always doing some sort of sport, as were my other siblings growing up. So it was school, lots of sports, and a lot of community service. My parents are very big on the more that you get, the more that you have to give back as well. So that was pretty much my childhood summed up in a nutshell: was wake up, go to school, eat something quick, do a workout, go to sports practice, and then figure out how to help somebody along the way.
So philanthropic.
No, I have my mom to thank for that. She's truly the most selfless person. And that's what she still does for a living. She is in charge of raising money for a nonprofit. So
awesome.
She truly is like the embodiment of actions speak louder than words.
Were you always as confident as you are today, or was there like steps you had to take growing up or things you went through to try to find that?
Projecting wise, yes. Internally, no. I think that I've been very good at faking it. Like, you fake it till you make it. And I'm very good at turning on a smile and like getting attention. I feel like that's been a strength of mine from a very young age. And whether that came in tantrums, or it came in like snarky comments, or it came in being a total like deranged animal, I somehow got the attention, but then also made people giggle and like not yell at me at the same time. But I think that everybody has their struggles. It comes in different forms. And now I think that's why I've started sharing so much more of my life online, is because I feel as if I'm in a confident, genuine place. I don't want to put out something that's fake or inauthentic, because I think that seeing that growing up, like seeing unrealistic things online, I think that leads to a lot of issues. And so I'm not going to sit here and create a sob story. I'm not on American Idol. Like, I can't sing. Like, I'm not going to give you a whole sob story to edit into this thing. I lived a very privileged upbringing. I have a wonderful family. We were in a very privileged position. There weren't many struggles, but I think just coming to terms with who I am as a human being and like blocking out the outside noise hasn't always been easy, but it's gotten easier and a lot better as I've gotten older.
Yeah. Well, and I think even if, you feel that you did have a lot of opportunity and like support around you, like there's still things that you were kind of alluding to there, like you went through that like helped you then be able to be this like confident, authentic person that people are then able to see. When you were growing up and you had your older brother, was that always a close relationship? Was there any like sense of competition between the two of you, or comparison?
Yes and no, but not because of anything that he was doing or not because of anything that like my family was putting on me. It was me internally and outside voices. My brother is probably a year and a half older than me. He used to model. He was on the underwear box for Calvin Klein. So he's got a phenomenal body. He's a beautiful human being. It was never anything between me and him. It was never anything between my family.
But you were just in your head.
Me and my head and everybody else, like external people that we would interact with, like your brother's hot. Like it was always your brother's hot, your brother's hot, your brother's hot. Like you're Vaughn's younger brother.
It was like you're hot Vaughn's brother. And like, well, I'm Coleman and I have value to bring to the table too.
Yes. And but it was never like, oh, you're hot too. It was just like, he's hot. It was never like, I think I probably weigh 10 pounds more right now than I did in 5th grade. So I think like 20 years have gone by and I think I've gained maybe 10, 15 pounds. And it's just, I was a little meatball. I was a little meatball for a minute. So yeah, I think, it was chatter is what it was. So I think internally that led to other things, which I'm sure we'll get into.
Yeah. How old were you when your brother was modeling for Calvin Klein?
I think I was probably like my junior or senior year in high school. He was one of those shirtless Santas on Bravo with Andy Cohen. Like,
love.
We love it. We love that for him. But no, it was probably like my junior or senior year of high school.
Did you feel you were like in the meatball phase still at that time?
At that point, I was no longer in the meatball phase, but I was not in the put me on the box of Calvin Klein phase either. So It was like, he's not a meatball, but he's not a model. So what is he?
Do you feel like the comparison or people being like, oh, your brother's so hot, and like not giving that same description to you, and perhaps like any implications that had on like your own confidence or the way you viewed yourself? Like, did that have sway or influence in you like wanting to take ownership of like your own health and fitness at all?
100%. At first I like results, and my parents have told me time and time again until they're blue in the face, an overnight success takes 15 years. But my brother started doing push-ups when he was in 5th grade every other day. I was eating chicken nuggets. So it was like I was in 5th grade eating chicken nuggets and mashed potatoes on a daily basis. He was down on the floor doing push-ups. So by the time he was on Andy Cohen's show and I'm like still not there, I was like, okay, we're gonna make this happen real fast. And so I not so much anymore, but I used to tend to go to extremes. And so that's the trigger warning. There used to be extremes. And there were times where I was working out for 2 to 3 hours a day, like specifically cardio. Anybody listening, that's not the secret. That is not the secret. That is not the secret. and I wasn't eating, or I was eating like one piece of pizza, but then it would be other extremes where I was just like, my body was so tired, especially like as I got to college and like nobody was supervising me. I was so tired from the working out that I just didn't. And then I would sit there and eat a whole entire pizza pie in my dorm room by myself. So it was like, whoa.
Yeah, like yo-yo.
Yeah, it was a huge yo-yo that I did get professional help while I was in college. I went to this woman that specializes in like nutrition and disordered eating and patterns like that. I did end up working with somebody while I was in college because it was all encompassing. It was time consuming. I would leave the dining hall and I would be thinking about what was on my plate in the dining hall for the next 3.5 hours. Meanwhile, I had a midterm due at 11:59 at night, but I'm sitting there 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. like, how much of that did I eat? Did I eat too much? Did I not eat enough? Like, should I not have eaten that? Did I really need that? Like, it was just, it's so time consuming.
How are you able to get like a healthier relationship with food and also working out? Like, what sort of steps did you take to get in a better place?
I think eventually I just needed the tough love, which is what I got from like my support system of family and close friends, as well as the health professional. And she didn't really give me an option. She was like, this is what you're eating. You need to send me photos of it when you eat it. And this is what you're doing for your workout. And you're not doing more than that. You're not doing less than that. This is what you're doing. And like, this is your parents' money paying to have you come here. So if you don't do it, it's a waste of their money. And it was just like, whoa, okay, I'm going to listen. I was set on 150 because I was on the crew team growing up, and it was 150 to be on the lightweight team. You had to be 150 or under, very much like wrestling. They weigh you. But if you were 150.2, you were on big boy boat. And so I had 150. I'm like 175 now. And it's just a number now. It's just an arbitrary number to me. I very rarely weigh myself. But then in college, I was like, I need to be 150 or under, because like the kids in the 150 boat, I was like, oh, that's what I want to look like. And so in my head, I was like, I need to be 150 to look like that. I was following her little plan and I lost like 5 pounds like that. And she was like, see, if you want to do it in a healthy way, though, you have to eat. And you have to work out, like you have to lift some weights, but you need to do a little bit of cardio. It started to help me find the balance, and then the numbers of the 150 above or below that didn't really matter so much to me anymore.
Yeah, you've done a lot of content, or I've seen some of your posts where you kind of talk about doing all one sort of workout or one other sort of workout is like not the answer. Is there any advice you would give to people if they're like trying to be more smart or savvy or healthy in their exercise?
I think the biggest piece of advice is that nobody at the end of the day truly 100% knows what they're doing in the gym. That even now when I go into the gym with my gym bag on, my tank top, my muscles popping, and I have wrist guards on and I have a knee brace on and I'm like ready to go press. Like I just squatted 515 pounds the other day, like from the little push press thing.
That's pretty crazy.
Thank you. but like I still sometimes am sitting there in between sets, like when I'm like, okay, my program changed slightly, this is the move I'm going to do. I'm still sitting there Googling on YouTube what the machine looks like so I can go find it in the gym. And then I'm watching a video on how somebody did it so I'm doing it properly. And so I think people are so intimidated to like look like they don't know what they're doing in the gym. But people that I go to the gym 6 days a week, and I have my personal training certification. Like I have the knowledge there and I still don't know what I'm doing. And so I think it's easier said than done, but you really just got to get out of your own head and just watch the YouTube video. Just, if you don't know how to do a bicep curl, use Google, put it in, search that shit. Come on.
Normalize not knowing what you're doing and figuring it out.
Exactly.
The gym is so intimidating, though. Growing up, I was like a musical theater kid, like in choir. My family was very athletic, but I was always like, I don't want to be anything like that. Like, I didn't want to like be on the cross country team or on the track team or anything like that. And it was always so hard for me to like figure out how I was going to be fit. And like, I was also having my meatball period, and like, it got similarly unhealthy. Like in high school, I remember like literally packing myself cucumber to eat for lunch, and I would just have like a cucumber cut up, and I'd be like, oh, I'm losing weight. This is so great. Like I'm becoming skinny. And it's like, no, you're just literally having such a calorie deficit that you're like starving yourself.
Neither end of the spectrum is healthy. There are people that are too fat and there are people that are too thin. And I think supporting either end is honestly like a disservice to a degree. It's about balance, and like, yes, you're still beautiful. You can still be beautiful internally outwards, but there's a point where it's like you do have to take care of your health.
It's so challenging because I feel like, especially in looking at body image specifically, like the gay community and gay culture like is unfortunately so image focused, especially when it comes to like the apps and like some of these apps literally just being like torsos, you know, and like people are window shopping for that. And like for some, like some guys are just valuing you for what that looks like. And if you can't achieve that, or like you don't fit that box, it can be difficult to like figure out, oh, am I even like worth anything?
No, Grindr is so toxic. When I was bored one day, I did a research study, and I've done this actually a few times on Grindr.
Okay, research.
Because I love to understand how people work. So I did it once when I was like figuring things out about myself in college. And then I've done it twice since moving to LA. So essentially what I do is I take a photo of myself, I make a Grindr account, I put it up. Once I'm on that account, I start messaging people. First message, hey, send me your address. I want to come over. I'll be face down, ass up, just drill me, tie me to your bed. Like, use me in ways you've never thought before. And then I don't want to see your face. I'm going to get up and leave your house. Mitchell, I get the address in seconds. These people are like, come over, largest fantasy ever I've wanted, give it to me. I then block them. Delete my account. And it was just a torso shot. So 5 minutes later, I let it, like 5 minutes, but I still want to find them in the same like emotional head mental space. I re-upload new photos from like slight turns, different lighting, different shorts, different whatever. Like skew the contrast slightly, but it's still the same torso that they're looking at. They think it's a brand new photo. Then I text them. This is the person I was telling to tie me up 4 minutes earlier. I then text them and go, hey, I know this is Grindr, and I totally understand if this is not what you're looking for, but I am not looking for a hookup on here. I would love to get to know you and go on a date first and then see where it goes. Let me know if you're interested. If that's not something you want, totally understand. Same motherfucker responds and is like, oh my gosh, you're a breath of fresh air. This app is so crazy. That's all I've wanted. I just want to go on a date with somebody, get drinks. Meanwhile, this dude sent me an address to his house to blindfold me and rail me 5 minutes prior. And then he goes, Grindr's so toxic because all they do is match the energy. That's what everybody's doing on that app, is matching the energy of what they're getting. So if you put yourself out that you want a date, you'll get them to go on a date with you. If you put yourself out that you just want to be a little toy, a human toy, you'll be a human toy. And so I think the exchange, because everybody's hiding behind their phones, I don't go on Grindr anymore.
It's not healthy.
It's so unhealthy. So that's my research study. And
thank you.
It's been the same results every time. And I'm not just doing it with one person, just so you know. The research has involved multiple people,
several candidates. This is a focus group.
Yes, and the research has been conclusive every time I've done it. Am I saying it's necessarily the best use of my time? No, but it's a point proven.
I kind of have something about myself that relates to that a little bit that I've never talked about on here before.
Okay, give it to us.
So like when I first came to college, that's like when I had my first interaction with the gay community, and like, because I grew up in a small town, like was not in a space where like you could really like try to explore anything. Like there was gay people, but like not gay people that I wanted to do anything with, you know? And so I went, and also was like deeply insecure. And so I went to college and I was like, oh, I should download Grindr. And it was just so objectifying and like so sexualized that even when I would hang out with guys, like they would just be trying to do that. And maybe I was like not presenting myself the right way, but I knew what these people wanted. I knew what the character was. Like, I was putting on my acting shoes, and I was ready to give this persona, and in reality, like, that's just not me. And like, I live in Wisconsin, so like, still, like, you know, it's not that many gay people here. Like, there's
Trust me, I'm aware. I'm familiar with Wisconsin.
we'll get into that. But I've literally have not had sex with anyone in 4 years.
Listen,
Literally, because like nobody, there's no need. Well, and that's the whole reason. And I don't need to keep this in. But like the first time I ever had sex, I got prostatitis afterwards. You know what that is?
I don't know what that is. No.
So like, essentially, like a month after, I mean, it was the first time was a great time, loved it. I get like excruciating pain in my lower areas. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're kidding me. I had sex one time and I got something. And so I go and like get tested every single way, administered every which way, and it's all negative. Everything's negative.
Oh my gosh.
I'm working retail at the time, and I'm like sitting behind the front desk, like checking people out, and like just excruciating like pressure down there. Goes on for like 2 months.
So painful.
And then I eventually like go to a prostate specialist, and he's like, oh, you have prostatitis. And so I guess he had like something on his dick and got bacteria down there, all infected. And so I had to do 4 28-day treatments to flush it out.
Oh my gosh.
6 months later, I had an accidental hookup and it caused another flare up. And so I've like lived in a little bit of anxiety. Maybe it's unwarranted or warranted. I don't know. But it's like, I don't want to risk, it probably wouldn't happen, but still, I don't want to risk like it happening again. Unless it's like someone that I actually like have a connection with.
No, the probability of it happening again, I feel like is like very low.
So tiny. Yeah, but it's like
I also don't just sleep with anybody. So I respect the fact that like
I don't know. It's just like at my core, like even now, like if I want attention from a guy, I know what, similar to you doing your research, like you know how to hook, you know what these people want.
You could get it so fast. The attention's there if you want it.
Yes, but it's like these people are like not people that I actually want to like do that with, you know. And I would much rather prefer for it to have like a meaningful connection. And so, 4 years, and hopefully there's some nice man out there. But it really is. You're
a born again virgin.
I am. I'm literally re-virginized. I mean, one time. Come on, I'm literally Mother Mary.
You are.
So yeah, just like manifest a good man.
I will. I'm sending that energy your way.
Maybe I'll keep this in. I've like talked about this 2 other times before, and I took it out of the podcast.
Here's my reason as to why I think it could be beneficial to keep it in. You do you. But I think that there are so many when it comes to men sleeping with other men. Like, I feel like it's very common for women now to still hold a boundary. Like, no, I'm not going to sleep with them right away. If they want to, great, but like they can at least hold that boundary. I feel like for men sleeping with other men, there's a lot of pressure for men to sleep with other men right away, like first date, second date, third date. And I think a lot of people do it and they don't hold out like you do. I think a lot of people do it. They don't want to, but they do it anyways because they just think that that's like they have to or they're going to die alone. And that's not the case. So that's the benefit of keeping it in.
Yes. And I also love being alone and like I'm happy by myself. Like I'm not someone who's like reliant on a man or a relationship to like feel fulfilled in life, but it's also like would be nice. And like, I don't know, it's the other challenge is finding someone who's like also like, because it's not like I'm like not, you know, flirty with these guys, but like I don't want to do that. And I think people like see a little bit of a like glimmer and they like can't respect the boundary anymore.
The right person will. The right person
will. My mom went to a psychic, and she's gone to the psychic 2 years in a row asking the psychic about like what my future husband is like, and I have several qualifications for him, so I'm on the hunt because I have details that I'm looking for, and it's really challenging to find someone who fits these check boxes.
Listen, I've come to the point in a dating relationship where like yes, I would love to be young and like go through all these life experiences with somebody, but I think at the end of the day one of my biggest fears is getting divorced, and I
Yeah.
would rather wait till I'm 35 or 40 to find the person I'm going to spend life with than get married at 25 and be divorced by 30 or 35. And no shade to anybody that that's happened to or whatever. Just for me, I want to be married yesterday. I want to be married yesterday, but I would rather wait and for the right person than to just settle for someone that like is just there and available, because I think way too often people, I mean, that's half my content on TikTok is dating and relationship advice, and I think people settle so much nowadays because they're pushing 30, they're pushing 32, and they just don't want to be by themselves. And I will push 40 before I settle. I'll push 50 because eventually that person, somebody will meet you where you're at and they'll be in the same place, and I'd rather find them a little bit later in life than just take them because I'm desperate. Desperate's
Yes.
not cute.
Giving desperation is like an easy trap to fall into, especially if you're like
Mm-hmm.
in one of those moods, where it's like you'll take
Mm-hmm.
any attention you can get, but it's like no. We have self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
We have like the control. Like these BS men are not gonna have their way with us. Like we shouldn't stand for anything less than what we deserve.
Exclamation point to that one.
Let's get back into Coleman's story. That was a long tangent.
No, I think that's very beneficial to keep it in if you do. But carry
Okay.
on.
Okay. Well, you when we were going through that, you mentioned briefly that you were starting to figure out yourself more in college. So like
Mhm.
pre-graduating high school, were you in the closet? Did you think you were straight, or like what was going on in your head?
No, I know people are going to have a difficult time hearing this because most people, anybody that I've met in LA gone on dates with, somehow that seems to be a thing that gay people say on the very first date is like they tell their coming out story. Love that for them. With me, I didn't know until I was interested in men. And my last serious relationship was with a female, surprise. But I didn't know that I was interested in men genuinely. It wasn't like some hidden secret. I went to Ultra Miami with my brother, like the end of sophomore year. It wasn't spring break. I don't know whenever Ultra is. We went to Miami and my brother had started making out with dudes, and I like was just doing my own thing, and I was like, whoa, what's going on? That was the first time that I had ever seen men making out with each other. And then it was like not even, it was like other, like everybody.
What
I
year
was
was
like,
this?
the year that Ultra was on an island and we all got stuck there. Like
Oh, okay, Firefast.
it was like on some like turtle conservatory thing that should have never been there in Miami. That was the first time that I saw like men making out with men, and I was like, oh, that like in my brain, I was like, oh, that kind of does something. I was like, what is going on? Not when I was looking at my brother doing it. When I was looking at other people doing it, let's clarify that. Was not turned on by my brother.
This is not the White Lotus.
Yeah, no, not the White Lotus. 'Cause I was shocked, so I saw him, and then I quickly turned and I was like, "Oh, there's other people." And then I was like, "Oh." And so then, yeah, I went back to Wake, and which is where I went to college, Wake Forest in North Carolina, and I did some Googling, and that was when I first heard of Grindr and was like, "Oh, this is like an app to download." I downloaded it, and very quickly realized what you realized, that it's a wild, wild west out there. The first person that I actually met on Grindr ended up becoming my boyfriend. He's the only boyfriend I've ever had. We dated for like a year and a half. I've obviously seen and dated other men, but yeah, he was the only one. So that was a Grindr success story. So we love that. He's I could not think more highly of
They
him.
need to
I think
sponsor you or something.
I think truly, truly, he's one of the most wonderful human beings I've ever met. There was just a very large age gap between the two of us, and for a number of other reasons, we're better as friends than we are as significant others in one another's lives. Somebody that was like just very like, I think knew how to handle somebody so much. I was 21 years old. Handle somebody that like had never done anything with a dude, and like could see that I like wanted to, but then also just was trying to figure things out. We didn't start dating like when I met him. I then went and studied abroad. He moved from where I was going to school. It wasn't until I moved to LA like 2 years later. And I just reached out to him to catch up and be like, hey, how's life been? And he was like, crazy news, I'm moving to LA next week. And I was like, no way, I'm moving to LA too. And then we both got to LA the same week. We got dinner and I sat down with him because I am crazy. I don't think I'm crazy because a crazy person can't recognize that they're crazy. And so therefore, because I can recognize that my actions are slightly crazy, I'm not crazy. Make sense?
Mm-hmm. You're self-aware.
So my actions are crazy, therefore, but I'm self-aware, so I'm not crazy. I sat him down at dinner and basically said, I've been thinking about you for the past 2 years. I'm so glad you're here. So what's it going to be? Like, are we going to date or not? And I was like, you can let me know tomorrow. And I was like, I have done things with other men since I last saw you when I was in college. I was like, but the connection, the conversations, the chemistry has not been the same since I was with you 2 years ago in college. And so I want it to be you. And if it's not you, let me know. But I hope and I think it is. So, and then he called me the next day and was like, let's give this a shot.
And then you dated for 1.5 years.
Yeah. During COVID. This was all during COVID.
Okay.
So it was just like me and him in our own little bubble for a
little
year
quarantine romance. So cute.
Yeah, it was cute.
Why did that relationship end?
I think just because we were in two different places in life, and ultimately I respect and appreciate him a lot. That I think one of the reasons it kind of like he knew I was not ready. I wasn't at 22 years old. I was not ready to have a lifelong partner with the one person that I had dated guy-wise in my entire life. And he felt that I would have regrets moving forward, and I didn't yet want to acknowledge that. I'm glad that from his older intellectual point of view, he basically kind of just like let me go, like with my best interest at heart. And so I like respect him because he didn't really want to at that point in time, but he did, I think, for my sake, and I respect him a lot for doing that. I have nothing but good things to say about that man. Yeah. My other ex, on the other hand, but he's a really good guy.
And that says a lot about his character too, that he was willing to like put you first and like allow you to like explore your own path and not get stuck somewhere that maybe wouldn't have served you, as you needed to be served at that time in your life.
Exactly.
You moved to LA from New York. What is your life like getting used to that city outside of that relationship?
I mean, as soon as I moved here, it was pretty much two things. It was the relationship with him, and then I started working for Dr. Phil. That was my very first job out of college. I got very lucky. I was on season 19 of the show, and everybody would tell me, they were like, if you can last a full season, which is 9 months here, because I moved to LA because I wanted to be like a producer, like behind the scenes entertainment production. They're like, if you can last a season at Dr. Phil, you can last anywhere in Hollywood. And you're basically writing your own ticket because it's such a demanding and grueling show to be on the producing side of it. Not necessarily, I mean, he has a lot of demands, he does, but more so from the people that like the guests that are on the show, that we have to work with and prep leading up to the show. It's you're on the clock 24/7, like dealing with, because a lot of them are struggling addicts. A lot of them have mental health problems, and you're talking them down from things and helping them like be in a place where they can go on national television. So that was the very first show I did. I lasted a season. They invited me back for the next one. I said, no, thank you. And then I went and did like a reality docuseries with Netflix. That wasn't much better.
What show was it?
It was The Bling Ring, the one where all those teenagers robbed like Paris Hilton and Lindsay.
Yes.
The remake that Netflix did.
Okay.
So
yes,
I do have a
that.
Netflix show that landed in the top 10. So I did that. That wasn't much better from like the guy I was dating at the time. He helped me come to my decision in a sense that he basically was like, if you are your boss, will you be happy? My answer was no. He was like, if you're your boss's boss, will you be happy? I was like, no. And essentially I just kept asking that until I got to the top of the top of the top. And I was like, no matter how high up I go on this ladder in this world of production, I'm never going to be happy. I don't want any of their lives. I was like, I want none of these people's lives. So then I did one more shot with CW, a different project. It was basically like Selling Sunset, but ghost hunters. But the Ghost Hunter cast was an all woman cast with like stiletto, like we were hunting ghosts in 6-inch stilettos,
Okay.
bright pink Barbie doll outfits. Like it was Selling Sunset, but Ghost Hunters.
That sounds fun.
It was fun, but it was still just not the life that I wanted for myself. So then I removed myself from that. And after that, I got my real estate license. It was still COVID. I joined a firm, did that for like 9 months, left that, did fitness. Fitness has always been in the underlie. Did fitness for a little bit. I mean, I still do fitness. But after the real estate, I then did finance for a year. My dad has a private wealth firm. So that was like an easy in there. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So let's do finance. I was like miserable. That was worse than Dr. Phil.
Oh,
so I left that.
Literally kill yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like not creative at all because I'm such a creative person. So then the other creative alternative, had I not left college and done production, the alternative was design. I actually applied for design schools, but I was still at a point where I was like, that's so gay. I'm not going to get my master's in design. And so I got in to all the design schools in Manhattan, and I just was like, no, that's so gay. I'm not doing it. So I was still like grappling with all of that. And then, I mean, after Dr. Phil, real estate, fitness, finance, this was a year and a half, 2 years ago. I was like, okay, I'm like finally myself, and I don't really care if that's so gay. So then I transitioned into the design.
Like an interior designer?
Yes, interior designer for like residential homes.
Fun. So do you work independently, or are you a part of a different company?
I work independently now for the first year up until probably like November of last year. So take that and go back a year and some. I was working with a firm based out of Manhattan, and it was basically like you either need to move back to Manhattan to keep working here, or we're going our separate ways. And I love LA. So I am now doing independent work.
Okay.
So it's fun. Creative. It's fun. Just like TikTok. It's creative. I need a creative outlet is what I love to do.
Well, when I'm designing my next apartment, I will text you I can get interior design advice. You kind of alluded that you had another relationship after this one ended while in LA to get us on a timeline here. So that relationship with the guy that you dated for a year and a half, that ends. When does this next relationship come into your life, and how?
Yeah, so I think the beautiful thing, and I know not everybody's going to understand it. I've had people say it to my face that it's not real, that they don't get it. I love, and I'm just one of those people that I am sexually attracted to a lot of people, and that was the thing I thought when I was dating the guy for the first year and a half. There was a part of me that was like, oh, I'm gay. Like I had started telling people I was gay, and then we broke up. And then for the year that I was like working on myself and like starting to go on dates, I was like, I don't think I am gay. I thought I had to pick. I thought I had to pick or choose, like you're either straight or gay. And so because I was with a guy, I picked that I'm gay. And then when we broke up and I was no longer like tied to him, I was like, well, is Coleman really gay? And the answer was no, because the answer was no. And so then I spent a year just like realizing that it's like, okay, you could go either way. You love love, you love people, you're sexually attracted to both. And then I think like once that energy just started going out there of like, this is me, this is my genuine self. I was taking a workout class, and there was a girl in the workout class, and we got partnered up together. And she was gorgeous, super funny in the workout class. We like talked through the whole class, which is so annoying of us because I do teach it, and I'm like, shut the fuck up when anybody else is talking.
Was it a group fitness class? And you guys were talking?
It was a group fitness class.
Oh my gosh, Coleman.
But there were 8 stations. So there was no instructor on mic. There was no instructor on mic. I would have never done that. I would have never done that. There were 8 stations, and everybody was in like groups of 2. And the instructor was off mic, just like going from group to group, like talking. That's different.
That's different. Okay.
Yes. Let's clarify that before the trolls cancel me. Let's clock that real fast. It was not berries. So we talked, and then basically, like, we became really good friends. We became really good friends for a couple months. And she essentially said one day, we were getting lunch, and she was like, you know what's so annoying is I was talking to my roommate the other night about dating, and I told her I would love to date Coleman. It's just so annoying that he's gay. And I like, it was a very awkward lunch after that, because I just like looked at her and started giggling. And I was just like, well, see, the thing is I know that's like what people think, but me sitting with myself, I'm not. And I was like, so there is a possibility that we could be together, because I do date women as well. And she didn't know. She just
Was
like
she like
blankly,
gagged?
yes, we were choking on our lunch, and we weren't even eating anything. Like we were both when she said it to me, I started choking, then I said it back to her. So that was definitely wild. We went on to date for a year and a half, and then I did break up with her probably a year and a half ago. So I had a relationship for probably a year with the guy, couple months, was single for a year, dated her for a year and a half, and now I've been single for about a year. And so I've been in LA for 4.5 years. So that is
Okay.
the time. And there's been a few people I've dated in between the two serious relationships, but there's really only been two serious relationships.
Okay. Well, if you don't mind, I would love to ask you a few more questions about that second relationship that you were in. How was that relationship different for you? What was different about dating a girl versus a guy?
I think my experience dating a woman would have been very different had it been a different woman, because I had dated a man for a year, and like that was a very big, like, eye-opening moment, like a very big, like, confidence thing of like, this is who Coleman is, and like I don't really care what other people think anymore. Like, once I like had admitted that, like, yes, I have a boyfriend for that first relationship. So once we broke up, then my like next year in LA was like very like transformative in a healthy and like healing way. And I like put out such like, I know who I am. I like, this is me. I love myself. I've done a lot of work to get here. And then I started dating her, and that all kind of disappeared because she had an extreme issue with me having been with a man in the past, and basically was like, you're not bi, that's not real. It was just a phase in your life, and like being bi is not really real, and you're not gay because you're with me, and so you're straight. And so then it went on, which I've never said before, but like other things I've talked about in my TikTok videos. I couldn't wear certain shoes because like I have a sneaker collection of like red to black, like everything on that color spectrum. And there were so many shoes that were like pulled from that she wouldn't let me wear because they were too gay. I had diamond earrings in my ears when I first started dating her. She took them out and she put them in her ears. And as far as I'm aware, she's been wearing them ever since, because they were real diamonds that I had bought myself. But they were too gay to be in my ears, so I haven't had earrings in since. So it was a lot of things like that. And I know people listening are going to be like, well, why did you stay for so long? And I think it's because at the end of the day, she is, looking at her from an outside point of view, she's a wonderful human being. She loves her family. She's a caretaker at heart. Anybody that interacts with her loves her, truly. And so it was always internally, I stayed for so long because I was like, well, if you can love everyone in your world, professionally and personally, as much as you do, I used to compare her to human sunshine. Like watching her interact with the world, she was human sunshine, but watching her interact with me, I was in hell. And so I just like in my head, that's why I stayed, because I was like, well, if she can give this to everyone else, one day she'll give it to me. And that day never came. And I got to a point a year and a half in, I was like, I was living with her. I just packed up my stuff and it was done, because I was like, this day's not coming. And if it does, I can't wait any longer. That's my answer to the question, because it's very hard for me to give. I don't know what it would be like to date a different woman.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate that is the course it had to take, especially when the image of this person you saw, and I'm saying this, not Coleman. This is my opinion. It's unfortunate that someone who was projecting such like warmth and love and acceptance and support to like everyone else was then not felt by you. In my personal opinion, that type of behavior feels very much like the show that she was putting on for everyone else was not her authentic self, and like what you were seeing, which was likely stemmed by her own insecurity, was like much more the person that maybe she was hiding with all of that happiness. But who knows? I mean, I don't know the person.
Who knows? You're not the first person to say that to me. I sleep easier at night knowing that when I talk about her going through the world, I think she was human sunshine. And then the facts of what she said to me and what she did to me was put me through hell. And I think that's viewing her in those two different lights is much easier for me to just like move forward. So maybe it's selfish of me, but people have told me what you've just said. Who knows? I'm going to hold her as human sunshine to the world. And I put up with a lot that maybe I shouldn't have. And that's that.
And I have a lot of respect and admiration for you, Coleman, for viewing it that way. I think it's a very mature perspective to take. Like, you could be so bitter and angry at this individual, and maybe there's, who knows, maybe there's feelings like that could linger, but
there definitely were. No more.
Yeah, but a situation like that teaches you so much and like helps you grow so much. I know you've made some TikToks before, and we did a prep call a few weeks ago, and I was like, so Coleman, like, what are all this relationship that you were in? And you kind of talk about like how you had like a mental break, essentially. Was it from this, I can imagine, traumatizing experience, like a lot of who you felt after this year of growth that you went through before the relationship, you were so confident in who you were and like so proud, I would imagine, to like be Coleman, and then this person essentially like tries to strip you of that by saying, no, that's not who you are, you're XYZ because you're fucking me. Like, come on. Do you feel like the elements of like gay community that you had previous to that relationship were also like not allowed, and did those connections fade? Like, any friends you had, like gay friends?
They did. Yeah, they did. It came to a point where I was kind of put in like, and I think gay friends, I think they were trying to come from a place of love, but they put me in a position where it was like, it's either her or us, you have to choose. And I just felt, I was like, this is very middle school to make me pick. And at that point in time, she didn't want me hanging out with them necessarily, but she wasn't making me pick between the two of them. And it was the ultimatum. It was pick her or pick us. And I just, at that point in my life, I don't regret the decision I made at all. None of them are in my life anymore. She's not in my life. Those gay friends aren't in my life. And I think my life is genuinely better that they've all been taken out of my life, truly. But because they gave me an ultimatum, I said I'm going with the person that's not giving me an ultimatum, and I went with her. And I don't regret it.
And that's completely valid, and like not having that regret either. Like, all of this has brought you to where you are today. Like, it's hard when you're in the trenches, but I feel like when you get to the other side, you like look back and like see how all those little battles and challenges like helped build you up to who you are. And I can imagine that leaving that relationship, even if it was really draining and challenging, was hard as well to like give up, in quotes, I'm doing quotation marks. Like, that's hard too. Like, even if you, in your gut, whether it's someone you're dating or someone that you're a friend with, and like there's someone that you value and you have really enjoyed spending time with them and knowing them, when you know in your gut that like, this isn't right for me, I shouldn't be in this spot anymore, I shouldn't be spending my energy on this person anymore, whether it's because they're treating you poorly or they're not giving you the energy back, whatever it may be, even if you know you need to make that change, it's so hard to actually like pull the trigger and do it.
Yeah, people show you what they can give you, and it's more so, it was a year and a half of me like wanting to see a different show, but the show that was in front of me was not the show I wanted to see. but I stayed. Thinking the show was going to have a different ending, and it eventually didn't. And yeah, I think everything makes you more of who you already are. And that's actually why I started posting on TikTok was, again, my very first TikTok, and I think it holds true to today, is my goal in posting on TikTok was one, for me to get out of my own head. I started posting after I broke up with her because I was self-aware enough to realize that I had basically, when I entered the relationship, I was like this young little golden retriever that was just like a happy puppy that had worked on himself, that was like ready for love. And then by the time I left the relationship with her, I was a shelter dog that you see on those commercials with like a voiceover from Jennifer Aniston or whatever. Like that was me in the relationship. So I was like, I want to be that little golden retriever puppy again. I think that's probably my greatest attribute is I will love 10 times over. And like, I'm not going to let past friendships, business relationships, romantic relationships, I'm not going to let any of that stop me from loving. And I think it's so easy to like let past events like make us harder. And knowing myself, I think that's my greatest strength is I love in a lot of different forms. And so I was like, Coleman wants to get back to this happy little puppy dog that he was, and he'll get there. And so selfishly, I started posting on TikTok to get out of my own head. And then the second one was obviously for anybody watching to help inspire them along the way and relate to them. Like if you're going through anything similar, you're not alone. And that's very much why my content has stayed the way it is I am like every day getting out of my own head. I don't care I've gotten to a place where I don't really care what the comments say. Like if they're not nice, if they're great, I love that. Ego appreciates it. And then other people like have been inspired along the way that they've told me. So I feel like in that it's a win.
Your content is so positive and uplifting and motivating in a place when there's so much going on that could be discouraging to people. Like it's nice to have like that light, and I feel like you, as you say, be the light. Like you bring that light into the world. I think that's really important. Like I'm not trying to like kiss your ass or anything.
No,
but
I appreciate that.
It really is valuable. Like I think so many people can. It's easy to get lost in like the darkness and to get down on yourself or insecure or scared, whatever. But like being able to see positivity in the world, I think is really great.
I would agree. Life becomes so much fun when you realize you're living it for yourself. You're living it for yourself. And once you stop living it for other people, which I've stopped doing over the past like year now of my life, since I've like started putting myself out there online, I've just stopped living for other people, and life has become so much more enjoyable. I loved my life before, but it's gotten 10 times better.
Yeah, like you have different chapters of your life where you learn different things and you grow differently, but like no matter what phase you're in, when you're focused on yourself, which can be so hard to like really put yourself first, it can feel like you're like a narcissist or like super selfish, but like I don't know, you are valuable and your time's valuable and your energy's valuable. So like
self-love isn't selfish.
Yeah.
Self-love is not selfish at all. It's like that airplane analogy that we've all heard a million. Like you have to put your mask on an airplane before you put anybody else's mask on. Because if you put on everybody else's mask first, you can help more people on a plane put their masks on once your mask is on.
Yeah.
If you don't put yours on, you're going to help 3 people and die because you're not going to have oxygen. You put your mask on, you can help 6 people. So you have to love yourself before you can love anyone else.
Absolutely. After you got out of that relationship, how did you come to kind of rebuild yourself back up? What did you do to refine and regain that confidence?
Truly, TikTok. I just started sharing everything that I was thinking online, like all of my thoughts, like things that were going on. And I credit TikTok to a lot of it that I came back to my most authentic self, because I was like, it's out there. It's out there. People can send me in group chats. People can talk about me behind my back. I don't care. And at the beginning, it was like, I don't care, but like low-key, I did care. But you do that enough and you'll just stop caring. Like, I love when I see that my video has been sent 100 times. Please talk about me. It helps in the algorithm. Like,
Yes.
Go for it. Send that shit.
Well,
so,
maybe they're not even talking about you. They think it's amazing and they're sharing it.
Agree, too. Exactly. Yes. No, there's two sides to every coin.
Like, do I want to go and scroll and like see Coleman freaking out about Bethany Frankel following him? Yes, I do.
Exactly.
Like, I think it's just you emit joy, and I think everyone wants joy, and so of course they're sharing it. They're not talking shit about you, Coleman. No, they're celebrating it.
I agree. I appreciate that. No, that was I agree. I agree. At the beginning, people definitely were, but that's okay. People are always going to talk, no matter what you're doing. There will be people that will support you and love you, and then there will be people that will talk about you, but for no other reason than they're jealous. And I think if you can see that that's the distinction, anybody talking badly about you, just like how you talk about your ex, somebody talking badly about another person, it says more about them than it does about the person they're actually talking about.
Yeah.
So...
Trust, people are brutal out there. Sometimes people will really choose to be mean. I'm like, come on, I'm just having fun and giggling. Like, come on.
No, exactly.
Okay, well, since that relationship, like, what has kind of your dating vibe been like? Like, have you been going on dates with boys and girls, or like, have you been pulled in one direction over the other, or does it truly just depend on the person?
It truly does just depend on the person. I did have like a little fling with someone a couple months, was crazy, but I think that's why every relationship can teach you something. Is old Coleman would have, once I got out of the relationship with the girl, spent like some time working on myself, then I entered into like this dating fling with this guy. It lasted like 3.5 months. I pulled myself out of it, and I was able to pull myself out of it so much faster than 1.5 years because I had learned. And you are crazy doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And so I started to see, I was like, this guy and this girl did, Coleman, get out of here. So it took me 1.5 years with one person. It took me 3.5 months with the other one. So that was crazy.
And I'll start the change.org petition for Coleman to share that full story, because you told me it when we did our prep call, and I was gagged.
So crazy.
It was so good. Men are insane. Men are crazy. But they essentially, like, the lesson from that story was like that you had seen so much growth in yourself that, like, if someone wasn't giving you what you needed to, like, you weren't feeling like you needed to stay in it if it wasn't giving what you needed it to.
Without all the tea, that was the lesson.
Yeah.
That was how it tasted without sipping it down. Yeah, no, I think we took so much time on the Grindr. On the Grindr combo.
No, I have to keep it in.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, I can give you it, but I feel like that's where... No. I'm like, where did the time go? It went to the Grindr conversation. Because I'm like, I really did talk about my ex-girlfriend that long.
And, like, I think your growth, too, in just what we have covered, like, you have gone through so much, but it's gotten you to a place where you're able to live authentically and, like, with your self-worth and your confidence, like, on your sleeve. And I think that's really admirable to people to be able to see that, like, you know, there's hard shit that we all go through, but, like, there is hope and light on the other side.
Always. Yeah, the only way to move through difficult shit is you got to go straight through it. Can't go around it. You just got to move through it and keep going.
Yeah. Well, Coleman, there's a question that I love to ask all of our new guests to wrap up. If you were to look back at a younger version of yourself, maybe it's Coleman when he's coming back home from Miami Ultra, or even further back to, like, you growing up in your philanthropic era, is there any advice that you would give to him?
I think there's 2 points that I just want to briefly say as we wrap it up here. I think the first one is, I think the advice that a lot of people tend to give to their younger self is, don't worry about it because it's really not that serious. And I get where they're coming from, but I don't necessarily think that's the best advice to give to a younger self, because I think the only way that you can genuinely learn that life's not that serious is you have to live life, and you have to get there on your own. So I think that's one of those points where it kind of lands on, like deaf ears when you're saying it, because you could have told me that till you were blue in the face when I was little. Like, and now I know that life is not that serious. And that's my hope for people, like present day, as they continue to grow up, that they get themselves to a place where they realize life is not that serious. But I think something that's like more applicable for a younger self is that you never lose when you lead with love. Like, people are not always going to have your best interest at heart. People are not always going to do right by you. But when you lead with love, you will never lose. And I think that's the biggest reminder to my youngest self, to my present day self, to my future self, is that when you're moving, to everybody, when you're moving with love, it might not pay off that instance, but you'll be able to sleep easy at night when you lead with love on a daily basis.
Yeah, leading with love, leading with grace, leading with empathy. Those are like superpowers to have, and as you're just in life and treating others, treating yourself.
It humanizes everyone.
Yeah. Great advice. Love it.
Thank you.
Well, Coleman, thank you so much for being here. This has been so much fun. You're always welcome to come back whenever you want to come giggle. But do you want to give everyone your socials so they can follow you on your journey?
I would love to. Yes, Colman Feighan. There's no E in Coleman. There's no E in Coleman, so don't put it there. It's not there. My first name, Colman Feighan, Feighan, Coleman.Feighan. No E.
Amazing. Yeah, I cannot give a high enough endorsement. Like, everyone, you need to be plugged into the Can We All Agree series. Like, you're missing out if you are not on that journey. But thank you so much, Coleman. You guys can follow the pod on Instagram at UnpackTHT and on TikTok at UnpackThatPod. Have a great rest of your week. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Mitchell.